You're listening to Brandon Sports Talk, interviewing professional athletes and Paralympians and Olympians. And now for your professional athlete interview and your host, Brandon P. Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Hamilton Tiger Cats CFL football player, Corey. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in playing in professional football?
Stuff. Yeah. I would say I didn't really know I want to be a pro before college. I didn't even know really about American football until around my high school age, when I was like 17, 18. And that's when I wanted to play in college during my time in the US. And then once I got to college and had a chance to train with some pros, that's when I was like, okay, I want to go pro. So say around my sophomore year.
What was that experience like first going to Marshall and playing college football and then going to North Dakota?
Um, Marshall University,
Mm-hmm.
North Dakota.
Yeah,
Marshall University,
Marshall.
West Virginia.
Playing college football.
Yes, yes. I just want to like Marshall University is in West Virginia. It's not in North Dakota. But yeah, first going to Marshall was a good experience. It's a higher level than high school. It was Division One, so the competition was more rigorous, and it was a platform where I could grow and become a better athlete around some top talent from around the nation.
What was that experience like for you playing in college football, and what were some of your biggest accomplishments?
It was good. I grew to have to learn um, how do you say? I had to learn to become more versatile version of myself. I had to learn how to punt. First of all, my background is a soccer player. I grew up playing soccer in Norway, and I did some track and field, and I was more naturally a field goal kicker. And once I got to college, the team needed a punter, so that's when I was fortunate to have a strong senior punter in front of me to learn from, and that's when I learned how to punt. And so that is my opportunity to grow as a more versatile athlete. And I would say the biggest accomplishment must have been being named team captain for several weeks in a row during my senior year as a testament from my coaches and my teammates to come my effort and the role that I had on the team. I think that was my greatest accomplishment in the NFL. That was something I was proud of, and I wanted to be a good representation for the freshmen and for everybody else to say this is what we do. Here at Marshall, and this is how we go about our business to win games.
Of course, transitioning from playing at Marshall to getting into professional football, what was that experience like signing your first professional football contract in the NFL?
Yeah, this a pretty significant transition. First of all, you're still kicking the ball, you're still playing, doing the same craft that you did in college, except that in the NFL, it happens at a extremely high level. Uh, there's less room for error. Consistency is the name of the game, and I realized to get to that level of consistency, you need to step up your game and perform good all the time, or more good than bad. You have less room for error. You can have that many bad days in the NFL as you could in college. So I would say there's more leeway in college to have a good game, have a bad game, have a good game, bad game. But in the pros, there's expectations to say we demand your best every day, that's how it should be. You know.
For you as a professional football player coming into the NFL, what was that experience like putting on that first NFL jersey and representing the Baltimore Ravens?
I'll say it was one word that can put that into, if I could use one word, I would say magical. It was was kind of like, oh, you're living in a dream right now. You're doing the same thing you've been doing your whole life. You're just playing the sport, except the color of the uniform changed and the stadium you're at changed, but the game was the same. So that was it was really really cool. That's what I would say, just like really cool, and you get to meet the people that are best within your discipline, best in the world, and you get to be around real professionals all the time, and that's yeah. So not magical, I would say cool. Yeah.
How was that experience like for you getting to play for the Baltimore Ravens?
That's I would say that goes into my last question you just asked. I would say that was that experience. So putting on a uniform, being around the professionals, the Justin Tuckers, the Sam Cooks, the Morgan Coxes, Tressway, Dustin Hopkins. I can keep naming them, but to be around those guys, I would say is and learning from them and from the coaches and Jerry Rossberg and um, from from everyone that was a part of that journey. And so that was a cool experience.
What was that experience for you like going to Minnesota Vikings and playing with them?
It was obviously I was there for no more than 5 weeks, so it was it's not much to say about it, to be honest. It was a transition for me. There was a lot of transitions happening as an athlete for me at the time, and coming from a year where I sat on the injury list with Baltimore to first of all, for people, if anyone's listened to this, and for those who don't know, when I was in Baltimore after my first preseason, I was a victim of an assault in Baltimore, and I was hospitalized, and my season was cut short, and I had roughly a few trade offers on the line for me after that preseason. After doing well, going 8 for 9 on field goals and punting decently, not great, but decently, and just showcasing I could do all three. And by the time that second preseason came around, I had a good enough game. I would say I didn't have a great training camp. I didn't have a great OTAs, but I had a great game, which led to my trades to Minnesota Vikings. And once I got to the Vikings, I would say the transition and life from when I was from what the incident that happened in Baltimore, I hadn't really processed everything, and I would say like the took away a lot of my comfortness or comfortability in my environment, and just didn't feel at place, feel really comfortable after that time, so yeah, that was my experience with the Vikings. They were going to put me in practice squad, and then I was picked up by the New York Jets instead. Went in there, and basically the same story as how it was with Minnesota Vikings. It was another transition, another big one. This was a regular season. I just wasn't ready. So that's what I can say about that. And that's when I went into free agency and did a bunch of workouts and jumped around the league for a bit.
How was that experience like going to the New York Jets and getting to play against the Buffalo Bills?
It was part of the what I just said for the last question.
Of course, what was that experience like going to Cincinnati Bengals and then coming to the Carolina Panthers?
The Bengals was great. I had a chance to work with Darren Simmons, exceptional coach. Had a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience that in hindsight, I would have enjoyed working more with him. So he really was able to get a lot of get a lot of good uh, get me to do well, if that makes sense, while I was there in Cincinnati. So I was only there for 2 weeks at the end of the season, and then I had a previous workout with the Buffalo Bills, and I had the opportunity to choose between the Bills and the Bengals. And at the time, I looked at the Bills as a opportunity that I enjoyed more, and went with that. And didn't win that job against Corey Bojorquez, who's a phenomenal punter. And that's when I went to the Carolina Panthers. And I was there for 5 weeks. And once the season started, they released me.
Of course, what was that transition like for you going from the NFL and last playing for the Panthers to getting into the CFL?
So trying to remember my transition here. So I went from the Panthers, and after I was released from the Panthers, I was signed by Washington, and I was there for the entire preseason. Before, not preseason, for the entire season on practice roster before I went to the CFL. So I was with them until 2020, at the end of the 2020 season. And then 2021, I had a brief week with Jacksonville Jaguars. And after that, I realized like it's time I need to play instead of going around the league from bag over my shoulders, house to house, around away from my family in Norway, and just going the free agent route for so long. While it's hard, it's not easy, and a lot of free agents can testament to that. And that's when I want to go to the CFL and get some playing time. And that's when I signed with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So they had drafted me in the global draft earlier in 2021.
Of course, what was that feeling like getting drafted into the global draft and coming to the Saskatchewan's Roughriders?
It was cool. It was cool. It was a good time. Yeah.
What was that feeling like the first time you got to put on your NFL jersey versus the first time you got to put on your CFL football jersey?
It was different. My NFL debut was my first time as a professional. So that was a kind of a mark from my college experience to now I'm a professional. Now you're making money doing what you love. And going to the CFL was a different moment of my career. That's when I had tried a free agent route for 3 years, and it was time to go play again. And once I got in that jersey again, it was a good feeling, like stepping on the field.
What was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto the field for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and get to play?
That's the question you just asked.
What was your game days look like in the CFL?
It was, I would say, we travel, we get some good food. We're very similar to how it was in college and the NFL. You just you have your itinerary, you have your pre-game meetings, or the night before you have your meetings, the day off you have a short meeting, you have a good meal the night before. You go to the stadium, you have roughly 3 hours, you warm up, you get ready, you get in your groove, get your swag on, and then you step on the field, warm up, and then you're ready to go and play the game.
While as a Rough Rider, what were some of your biggest accomplishments?
I would say stepping into the role, because my first game for the Rough Riders was when John Ryan got injured. I was sitting behind him, so I had to step in, and I thought I did a good job filling the role as a holder, number one, and then as a punter as well. So I think that was my best accomplishment with the Rough Riders.
How was that transition like going from the Rough Riders to Hamilton Tiger Cats?
It was cool. It was cool. Hamilton is a great organization, great coaches, great culture. Really enjoyed it there. It was also a cool city, close to Toronto, close to all the Great Lakes. A lot of activities, things you can do there. So that was I had a great time. It was a good time with the Hamilton Ticats. Oh yeah.
While with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, what were some of your biggest accomplishments as a Tiger Cat?
Biggest accomplishment as a Ticats. Let's see, 10 games. I would say my last game, my very last game in the playoffs. I had a season that was very much up and down. I came off of an injury this year, so injured myself in the preseason with the Rough Riders, and I didn't punt a ball for 3 months, sitting on practice squad, just rehabbing, and until the week I got traded was also the same week where I was fully back healthy. So the transition was I didn't really practice prior to playing in a game again. My practice was the week of playing when I was with the Ticats. And I was like, I had some good games and then some games I wasn't very happy with. And I could do a lot better. And so it was very up and down season, but the very last game, I had a good game. I put it together. I turned every ball over. I hit my spirals every punt, placed the ball where I want to place it, and it was exciting to see that. Even though come from those circumstances, I was able to go on an upwards curve of improvement.
As a player who has played in the NFL and now in the CFL, what are some of the biggest similarities and differences between the NFL and CFL?
Biggest difference is to not talk around bush, is the money. That's the cap. Obviously, the NFL can afford different contracts, a different structure of contracts for the players. Which obviously reflects and trickles into the lives of the players. So the CFL is a different league. It's also very cutthroat. People say that is more job secure in the CFL. I will disagree. The CFL is a very fast rotating league as well, and it's a competition for those jobs as much as there's competition for the NFL jobs. So I would say it's a highly competitive league as well, and there's the main difference is the cap, which will trickle into a lot of things like organizational culture. But I think that in the teams in the CFL, it shouldn't be a hindrance. They can do a great job also with their culture in the locker room, and from coaches to players and GM to players and GM to coaches. And I think Hamilton did an amazing job with it all the time I was there.
As a kicker, what are some of the biggest similarities and differences between NFL as a kicker and in the CFL?
So I'm not a kicker. I'm a punter. And I would say the biggest difference is in the CFL. You focus more on, I would say in the NFL, the biggest difference is the hang time aspect of the punting game. Hang time. Because in the CFL, you have the halo rule. You have to let the returner return the ball. In the NFL, you have fair catch rule. So there's more emphasis on hang time in the NFL.
What is it like getting to compete against some of the different teams in the CFL, like the Toronto Argonauts, Edmonton, and even Winnipeg?
It's cool, man. I mean, I go out there. I know a lot of people in the football world. So, you go on the field, you see people some of your buddies, some of them from other places, and your journey from the U.S. Like I have several teammates up in the CFL who I went to college with and who I played in the NFL with, and it's cool to see those faces again and keep those relationships going and everything. So yeah, it's a good time.
What does it mean to you to be a CFL football player?
It's I would say to be a CFL football player. It's not how I would put it. I would just say what it feels like to be a professional athlete. It's more of an overarching term. So to me, be a professional athlete, it's kind of like my identity. It's kind of what I've always been since I was a kid. Not just as a person because I signed a contract. It's more of an attitude. It's more of a way you go about your life. It's more about right your how do you say, your relationships to others, your taking responsibility, having discipline, and more of like what are the values incorporated of being what it means to be a professional athlete. That's kind of how I view that question of what does it mean to me to be a professional athlete. So it's just about the way I go about my things.
Who are some of the players that you look up to in the CFL and in the NFL?
Let's start with this NFL. Players I look up to. I think my biggest idol is Sam Cook. Exceptional individual, exceptional person. He's a great father, great friend, great teammate. He being around him just made me a better athlete just by like looking at how he went about his day and the way he went about his business. I'd also say Tressway, amazing person, same quality person. I keep him in the same regard as Sam Cook, and those were two exceptional people I was able to be around and learn from, and say, this is how you're going to be a pro. I had a lot to learn coming from Norway, coming to college, and just kind of did things head on and dove into things. But I was very fortunate and lucky to be around guys like Justin Tucker, Sam Cook, Morgan Cox, Tressway, Dustin Hopkins, Nick Sundberg. Those guys really helped me in my journey. Yeah, CFL. The CFL, a lot of great veterans on each team, a lot of guys to help you get along. And the Roughriders, I had Jorgen Hoos and Brett. So those guys were always taking me under the wing, show me the ropes of the game, show me the ropes of the CFL, because there are some nuances that are very different from the CFL and the NFL, and they were making sure that I knew about them and that I was able to play my game, and yeah, it was a good time.
What was it like getting to learn from players in the NFL like Justin Tucker?
Oh, very special. Very special. You have an idea in your mind of what's the top of a game. Like, okay, I always thought that, I'm probably the one person in any room that's going to have the most talent. And when I have a good day, that is probably the best day. But, there's certain things I just didn't believe before I got to the NFL. And punting, a lot of coaches would always say, when you get to the NFL, you got to turn over 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. You can't have more than 2 missed hits out of 10 punts. And I was like, yeah, but I don't really see anybody doing that. So maybe that's not true. And then I got to the NFL, and I just remember my first OTAs with Baltimore. I witnessed Sam Cook not have more than 4 or 5 missed during a 2 to 3 month span. He turned everything over, just being a machine. So that's when I realized there's more levels to this game, and they were there, and I could witness that and learn from them, and just soak in as much as I possibly could. So I have a lot of good knowledge coming from there and about the process and about what it means. And that was I think that was probably the best position I ever could end up in.
While with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, what was it like getting to play with some of your teammates like Jarrett Hughes and Duke Williams?
Oh, that was cool. That was cool. It's always nice when you go from locker room to locker room, and then you see some familiar faces. They come to you right away and they tell you, "Hey, man, like we'll catch up and we'll have good talks, and then we'll get you going right away." So that was awesome.
What is it like getting to meet your fans and having them ask for your autographs and photos with you?
That's always a little weird. I'm like, you want my autograph? Like, why? Like, I don't know. I'm just, I feel like I look at myself just like I'm just a normal person. There's nothing, and so it's always a little weird. Nothing I really ever get used to. But I think it's cool, that they're asking. They're like, "Hey, you want?" I'm like, "Sure, can I get yours?" Or yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird, a little different.
What is it like getting to see them represent you and wearing your jersey, whether it's a Hamilton Tiger Cats jersey, an NFL jersey of yours, or even a Saskatchewan Roughriders?
Say that a question again.
What is it like getting to see your fans getting to represent you and wearing your jersey?
I mean, the people that's worn my jersey has mainly been my family or my friends, and that's always cool. My brother came to visit. He bought my jersey, and my family here in the U.S. they would have my jersey. So when they come to support and they wear my jersey, it's cool. But it's more about them being there, rather than seeing my name on a jersey. That's just like it's cool. Yeah, I'm wearing this jersey. You bought it, cool. But I'm just glad you're here. That's the main thing.
Throughout your career so far, what have been some of your favorite memories and moments?
Ooh, that's I've been a lot of different places. So I'd say first stint with when I was in Baltimore. That was probably my Hall of Fame game. I would say with Baltimore in the first preseason game in 2018, because I got to meet Jan Stenerud and I got to meet Morten Andersen, which are two legendary kickers in the NFL, and they're both from Scandinavia, Denmark and Norway, respectively. And that must have been the coolest thing, just because when I first learned to kick, the first name that popped up was Jan Stenerud. So all of a sudden, I'm there in my first NFL game, and he's there watching me warm up, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna crush these kicks, man. I just got to show him, it's a very cool moment.
What advice would you give those people in college that are looking to play college football?
Get under a veteran, the people that do it right, learn as much as you can, understand about the process, put your ego away, put your past I know how to away. Just do what's right. Do what you know is the right thing to do. Because not in the end, you know what to do. You know what's the right thing to do. You got to take care of your sleep. You got to take care of your nutrition. You got to take care of things in the weight room. And ultimately, you got to take care of things on the field. And to be in college, you got to take care of things in the classroom. So you keep a list. Those things. Those are 5 things: sleep, nutrition, weight room, on-field performance, and classroom. I take care of those 5 things, and while you're in college, and you're gonna maximize the most out of your journey there.
What advice would you give those college athletes out there that are looking to get into professional football and deciding which league to go to, whether it's the NFL, CFL, or even XFL?
Well, that's a process. First of all, you got to take care of things in college, and once that process is over, you got to get with an agent. Make sure you're with an agent who's professional. That's a whole process that you probably want to consult yourself about. So make sure you consult yourself with someone who's either been through it before, or consult yourself with someone professional about the agent process, and then figure out what's the best route to go, what camps to go to, how to get in front of the right faces, because ultimately the coaches and the scouts needs to see you. So you need to make sure where should you be, who should you talk to, where should you train if you're a person that hasn't gotten your name out truly. If you're a person whose name is already out there, you perform great in college, you went to a big name school, process is a little different for people that are, their names are not out there, but they know they're talented enough. You have a pro day, you want to make sure you perform well on your pro day. Ultimately, you want to make sure you shake the scout's hand. You want to make sure you introduce yourself. You want to make sure you do all those things, just to make sure they get a face to the name that's on the paper.
What advice would you give those professional athletes that are playing in the NFL transitioning into CFL?
You said what advice from the NFL to the NFL players
Mhm.
that goes to the CFL? Again, that's a hard transition for a lot of people. I feel like a lot of athletes that make it from the NFL, that goes from the NFL to the CFL, is because they're on the way out, or they're kind of in like an intermittent period between teams where it's been a long time since they were on a team, or they've been bouncing between teams, or they've only seen training camps. They haven't seen a regular season game in like a few years or a year, or they might be undrafted free agents who didn't get a real shot, or just did training camp as rookies and they want to play. So for a lot of people, it's perceived as a step down. I would say for majority of them, or maybe 50-50. And I would say for the people that views the CFL as a step down, I'm like, put that shit away, because this is football. You get to play, you get to be in the locker room, you get to be the professional athlete that you always wanted to be. If that's what you view as your identity, that I'm a professional athlete, then guess what? You get to be that professional athlete. You get to play football. Now go be the best version of yourself and put that other crap behind you. Because if you bring that up and have that chip on your shoulder in the CFL, you're gonna have a more miserable time. You're gonna feel like you never owned up to your potential. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be playing in the NFL. It's like, but you're not. So get over that, because if you carry that chip, it's not going to look good. It's not going to be respected in the CFL, because 90% of people in the CFL had the same exact story. So, go up there, be the best version of yourself. And if you also want to make it back to the NFL, you need to have an attitude change, and you need to be the best version of yourself and be a good player, a great player in the CFL, if you even want to have a shot going back to the NFL. So, yeah,
What
just focus on yourself, and have a positive outlook on your opportunities, because for a lot of people, they don't get to play football anymore, and that's if you really want to play football and you don't get to play football, that's a travesty.
what advice would you give those future CFL football players out there, whether they're rookies entering the CFL or first year players?
I'll say there's a long off season in the CFL. I'll say be productive. Focus on your personal growth outside of football as well. Focus on laying the foundations, whether it is learning other skills, going to school, finish school. Make sure those who haven't finished school, make sure you finish school. Make sure you build your network. Building your network in the CFL, also in the NFL, but in the CFL, it's even more important, because in the end, once the season's over and it's the off season, you have a 6-month off season. You didn't make a lot of money. You made 70,000 as a minimum. You might have spent the money. I don't know about how everyone has different spending habits. So some people might have spent their money and they need a job. It's going to all come down to the network, who you know. So do things for the community you're in, partake in activities, help out, and be a positive addition to your community. That's the number one. And you focus on that in the CFL, and the city you're in, they're going to give back. They're going to give you the job. They're going to give you an opportunity to grow as a person, an arena to grow in, and become to add colors to your identity, so you're not just a football player. And I think that's something all football players and athletes should focus on, is that you're not just an athlete. Your identity is not I am X, the football player. You are X, you are the person, and the football player is just a part, or just one shade of colors of your identity. So I think that's the mindset for a lot of people coming into the CFL, and they're in the CFL or any professional athlete. I think that's something they should focus on.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
What is that?
Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Oh, you can find me at Vedvik. It's my last name. That's VEDVI with 3 Ks. VEDVIKKK. Vedvik.
Thank you again, Karen Vedvik, for your interview, and best luck in your future in the CFL as a football player.
Appreciate you, Brandon. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Chalk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Kare Vedvik, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.